got the feeling that I know is real, real, real. It's in the way you look, it's in the way you love, and I can see that this is real, it's real. It's in the way you talk.
Hello everyone, so today's video is going to be a sorority recruitment, like my experience kind of video. Also, my roommate Abby is in the background organizing her closet, so come get it. What up? An Asian lady messed up her eyebrows today, so we had a little big traumatic day. She's sad. So in the video, I'm just going to be telling you about what I thought throughout like sorority recruitment week and how it was for me. So I'm just going to kind of go day by day and explain like the process and how I was feeling after each day or like during each day. And I know that a lot of people have like mixed feelings during sorority recruitment. It's not as good for others as it is for some people. Fortunately for me, I had an awesome sorority recruitment experience until like until preference night. That's when I got a little confused, but overall it was really good, and I only cried once, except for at preference night. So yeah, that's basically the down low. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hop into the video. For those of you who like don't really know what sorority recruitment is, because I know it's bigger in the South than it is in the North, it's basically where at each university they have different Greek chapters. So I'm in Alpha Xi Delta, but there's also Zeta Tau Alpha, AD Pi, AO Pi, Tri-Sig, like all those sororities at my school. And you rush, it's called Rush Week, and there's 5 days. We have meet and greet round 1 and 2, philanthropy day, house tour day, preference night, and bid day. So you go through these days and you basically just show yourself off to these girls, like just basically like showing them who you are and like the way you dress and everything. And then they'll either pass you on to like the next round where you can come back, or they'll drop you, and then you also get to vote your top after each day, which I will go over with like how many we voted through like each day that I went through. But it's basically just for like at the end of the process, you just get, it's kind of like joining a club, but a big group of girls. They say it's like finding your home and like your sisters, which Abby hates the word sisters, so I'm not going to say sisters, but you are basically finding your sisters. And like not all of them will be your friends for life, but a majority will, which is cool. So yeah, I was really interested in it, and I had always wanted to rush, especially because my mom was in a sorority when she was in college, and she was a tri-delt. Unfortunately, they did not have tri-delts at my school, or I would have been a legacy. And a legacy is when your mom, your grandma, or your sister were like in a sorority that is at your school, but they didn't have it, so I'm not a legacy, but that's what my mom was. And so I like knew ever since I was little that I wanted to join a sorority, especially after watching Legally Blonde 2, which sounds really basic, but I asked my mom and she said yeah, like it's true. So there you go. Okay, so on day 1 was our first round of meet and greets, and we have 10 sororities at my university. So the first day we went to 5, and then the second day was meet and greet round 2, and we went to another 5. These 2 days we were provided with a shirt that we ordered when we signed up. I already showed this in my outfits video, and if you guys are wondering what I wore throughout recruitment, I do have a video for that. I'll have it linked down below. And yeah, so they just gave us this shirt. It says Grow Greek on it, and then Grow Greek on the back. And they gave us this shirt to wear for the first 2 days. It also gave us this booklet to keep with us throughout the sorority recruitment process, and it just says Grow Greek again. And like inside it has the layout of what each day was like. And also in the book they had like potential questions that you could ask during like meet and greet round or while you're with a sorority. They had like a glossary for like terms used during rush or whatever. And then they also had a page for each sorority, and like that's for like where you could write down what you really like liked about them. So I'll just show you my page of what I ended up in, for example. So it just shows our house on the bottom, and then it has a section for meet and greet, philanthropy, house tour, and preference. So you could write what you liked and what you didn't like and just take notes throughout the week. And then also to the right it says like the dues and everything. So they had that, and then they had it for each sorority, and then just like in notes pages on the back where you could write everything down. just because like I don't want to badmouth any other sororities. I'm not going to tell you which I dropped and everything, just because I don't think that's like very necessary for me to tell you guys that. Anyways, so the first, I will tell you like what I thought about the sorority I ended up in though, because it's obviously good. So the first day I went to 2 houses until I went to the 3rd house out of 5 that was the one I ended up in, which is AZD. And the first 2 houses I went to, I just left like, okay, yeah, those girls were cool. Like I'm like really good at talking to people, which is like a really good quality to have, and I'm very thankful for that. But I left the first 2 houses thinking, oh, okay, yeah, those girls are like pretty cool. And then I left AZD with, no joke, the biggest smile on my face. I remember texting my mom saying, oh my gosh, I love AZD so much. I didn't really feel that way leaving any other sorority house throughout the first 2 days of meet and greet. There was one other that I really did like as well, and they were definitely in my top 2. But I did not feel like I felt leaving AZD the first 2 days from any house. And basically for meet and greet day, you just go in, you say, like, you meet with a girl, and then they can have up to 2 girls talking to you, but not 3, because that is called, there's a term for that, I don't remember what it's called, but at most you can be talking to 2 girls at a time, and they just kind of like pass through and they all start talking to you, and you really can connect with like girls, and it's cool just to see like how the process does work. So I connected really well with them. And then leaving day 1, my top 8, we had to, out of 10 houses, we had to pick our top 8 and drop 2. And actually, just kidding, take that back. We went through day 1 and day 2 before we dropped 2, and went on to philanthropy round. So leaving day 2, because that's when we dropped, I had AZD as my first, and then I dropped 2 others.
I'm really not trying to be loud, I promise. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. So then the next day was philanthropy round, and philanthropy round is when they explain their like charity to you, and you go through and then you learn all about it. So the charity that my sorority does is Autism Speaks, which I already had a connection through because Grant's little brother has autism, and my old, because I moved, my next door neighbor had autism, and him and I were really close, and I took him to school and everything. So I already had a strong connection through that, which made me feel closer to the sorority and like just like a little bit more at home than the other ones. Today I did end up getting invited back to all 8 of the ones that I kept, and so it started at 7 a.m. and I remember getting back at midnight that night, so it was like the longest day of my life, and I still didn't leave every house like I left AZD, which was cool. So like I was starting to be like, yeah, okay, like I want to be an AZD. And Lacey and Abby will tell you, like, I was a diehard AZD, like, oh my god, I really want to be an AZD basically the whole week. Okay, so then at the end of philanthropy day, we had to drop 3, and then because the max day for house tour day we could go to was 5, and my university does actually have houses. So I dropped 3 and kept 5, and then the next day you went back to see who you got invited back to, and when you dropped some, you'd rate them 1, 2, and 3 as your alternates in case the house that you called back to ended up dropping you to. So I ended up getting dropped by one of the houses that I wanted to be called back to, and an alternate replaced that. So after house tour day, I went, and I wasn't as enthusiastic about, like, I was still like cordial and like talking to him and everything, because I didn't want to like come off rude, even though I already really knew what house I wanted to be in, and it was cool to see like their houses and everything. But as soon as I went to AZD, like I fell in love, and all the girls that I talked to, which I did talk to one of the girls that I want to be my big, her name's Madison, so hopefully that all works out. She's awesome, and her best friend Casey is awesome too, so shout out to you guys if you're watching this. But I talked to a bunch of people, and I just felt like at home. Went to another house, and I was like, oh, this house is pretty cool too, which ended up being in my top 2 on Purpose night. But anyways, so then after you toured all the houses, it was a really, really long day again. After house tour day that night, we had to pick our top 2 and drop 3 and rank them as alternates for Preference night. So thankfully, my top 2 ended up working out, and I still got to like have my top 2, which was awesome because after that night, like I felt really bad seeing like all the girls who didn't get their top 2 because they were all really sad, and it just like made me really thankful that I did not have to be in that experience, because some girls, like, the process just doesn't go as well as it does for others, and it's just like it kind of sucks to see. But again, I was very thankful. So then on preference night, this was like the hardest day of my life, which sounds really stupid, but it's a really big like decision, and Abby's laughing at me, but she's gonna rush one day and she'll understand. But she won't, trust me. But so I visited the first house, and which was AZD, and I was like, okay, I already like AZD is just it, like I just knew it. And then the second house I went to for the day was my second choice, and during their like preference ceremony, it's really emotional because they're like telling you how much they like love each other and like what they do and like their rituals and stuff and blah blah blah. And I did cry at AZD's, and the girl who preffed me, which is like preference night, like it's called preffing you, ended up having a speaking like part, and she just started crying and I started crying, and it was just like really like I just felt at home. I felt like I was supposed to be there. It was a really cool feeling. And then I went to the second house, and I really liked the second house too, but the whole time in the back of my mind I was like, wait, like AZD, what are you doing, Bianca? So then I really did like the second house that I went to too. And so at the end of the night I was torn, and I ended up having a meltdown, and that night is when we had to sign. It's called a Maraba. So you sign saying that you will accept a bid from either, and you put your first choice and your second choice. And I kind of like knew, this sounds really like conceited, and I do not mean this to like sound conceited at all, like I just really don't, but the 2 houses that I came down to were the 2 houses that I loved, and I felt like they loved me too. Like I kind of knew I was gonna have a bid from either place. That sounds super conceited, and I don't mean for it to sound that way, but what the girl was saying to me in the second house made it sound like it did. So then I didn't want to like screw up and make the wrong choice, and I ended up crying, and my phone died, and I couldn't talk to my mom, and it was midnight, and like we had to make this decision, and I just kept on second guessing myself. But in the back of my mind, like the whole time, I was like, the entire week you loved AZD, so like I just felt like that's what I needed to choose. And now I'm completely glad, because on bid day, this is how our bid day works. I know a bunch of bid days are different, but we all went into this coliseum where they play basketball for our school. And we all went in, and we're all in a Pi Chi group. A Pi Chi group is where they split you up into groups way before sorority recruitment even starts. I completely forgot to mention this. So here's a picture of my Pi Chis. There are people from each sorority. They're supposed to keep what sorority they're in hidden so they can remain like mutual, and like they're like Switzerland. They're just here for your help. They're here to help you and like give you not necessarily like advice, but just be there to have your back if like you have a question or you need something. And at the end, at bid day, then before you run to whatever sorority you got in, they run first, so you see what sorority they're in. So it's really cool. So I was in group 6, so one would go down and all those sororities ran in, and then their Pi Chis would go, and then the whole group of 1 would all run to where their group was. It was really cool. So then when 6 came around, my Pi Chis ran, and I ended up running to AZD because I opened my bid card and it said, Alpha Zeta Delta cordially invites Bianca Franco to join their sorority, blah blah blah. This is what your bid card looks like, and I was so excited to open it that I ripped it. No shame. Then you got that, and then you ran, and then they give you a shirt, which I also showed in my outfits video, but here's what our shirt looks like, and each sorority had a theme, and ours was Fire Station, and then the back says Burning Up Bid Day since 1893, Alpha Z Delta, which is awesome, and I'm really thankful I ended up in that sorority, and I love it so much. And I'm actually about to go to a meeting right now. So that was my recruitment experience. I hope that this video wasn't jumbled all over the place. To be completely honest, I did not know what I was going to say before here. I was just kind of like recall and spill all my opinions out in this video. But that's really how it went. So yeah, it was pretty awesome. But if you have any questions about sorority recruitment or anything, I'll do like a Q&A video with Lacey like I told you guys I was going to do, so make sure you comment questions down below. And if you're not already following me on all my social media, make sure you do that. I will have it on the screen, and I will also have it linked in the down bar. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.